Hello everyone, thanks for clicking on my video. Today I am going to share with you my trip to see U995 in Germany. U995 is the last remaining Type 7C U-boat in the world, and you'll know it from movies like Das Boot. Incredible pieces of marine engineering. However, towards the end of the Second World War, casualties began to mount and over 3/4 of U-boat men were lost at sea. When the war ended in May 1945, many of the U-boats ended up here at Lissahallie docks in Northern Ireland. Lissahallie port was a very important strategic port in the Battle of the Atlantic. The last remaining boat is U995 and it is currently in the village of Laboe in northern Germany. After the war, U995 spent time in the Norwegian Navy before being returned to the Germans to be used as a museum piece. Laboe is beside the port town of Kiel. Kiel played a vital role in World War II, and some of the U-boat fleet, as well as merchant navy and Kriegsmarine, were based in Kiel during the Second World War. The nearest large city to Kiel is Hamburg, so that's where I decided to stay while on my trip. I arrived in the morning, and Hamburg Airport is a modern, bright, and easy to navigate airport. I decided that I'd get the train. On the right you can see the self-service ticket machines, and up ahead are the escalators that take you down to the S-Bahn train platforms. I enjoy going on lots of city breaks, so at this stage I'm just going to show you how I navigate around when I'm travelling. I use a website called Citymapper. You can find it on Google or you can download the mobile app also. Citymapper haven't paid me anything for including their app in my video. I just really like using their app. It's free, it's easy to use, so that's why I'm sharing it with you. First of all, you just input where you're going, which city. When Citymapper was first launched, there was only 1 or 2 cities, and now pretty much every major city in the world is on the platform. Once you select your city, you can use the map screen here to look at different layers such as train routes, bus routes, etc. Or you can use the search bar on the left hand side to navigate around. So if I start my journey at the airport, I can type in the hotel which I decided to stay in, which as you can see is Superboot Hotel and Hostel St. Pauli. I'll talk more about this in a moment. Once you click navigate, it will give you a list down the left hand side here, as well as a map on the right to show you the various different options for getting from your start point to your end point. What I love about the app is your options are all listed according to how long they'll take. As you can see, you can get a cab, which will take you about 25 minutes, or you can get the S-Bahn and the U-Bahn. I really like trains, so the S-Bahn and U-Bahn, a 40-minute journey, is the one that I opted for. If I zoom in here on the U-Bahn station, you can see where Citymapper recommends I get off, and the dotted line there is the short walk from the U-Bahn station to my hotel. At the time that I made this video, there were still some COVID restrictions on trains in Germany. Sternschanze station is the nearest U-Bahn and S-Bahn station to the hotel where I decided to stay. As you can see here, we have maps. To be honest, they're very difficult to read and very difficult to use, and that's the beauty of having Citymapper. You don't need to worry about that. The app will keep you right and tell you how to navigate. Sternschanze is a nice district. Like a lot of places in Germany, there's a lot of graffiti and a lot of mess, but don't let that put you off. I certainly felt safe here. There were nice bars, nice cafes where you could go in the evening after you've been exploring for the day. And I think if I came back to Hamburg, I would certainly consider staying here again. If you're not familiar with hostels in Germany, they are very clean, very safe, and great places to stay while you are travelling around the country. I've stayed in hostels in a lot of cities in Germany, and to be quite honest, some of them are nicer than hotels for pretty much a fraction of the cost. My room was bright and airy. It had everything I needed. The bathroom was very clean. It also had a hairdryer, all the usual bits and bobs that you might need. They even had a games console in the room which you could use if you wanted to. My only concern about staying here would be in the summer, as I don't believe there was air conditioning, and that would be my only slight concern about staying here. There are lockers where you can put valuables while you're out with the padlock on top there, and you can take the key with you. Because I arrived before lunchtime, I decided to go on a bike tour around the sites of Hamburg. I also visited a World War II flag tower close to the hostel. These are really cool structures. This one they're building a 5-star hotel on top of currently, which is controversial. I had some time left in the evening. I went to see U995, which is a Soviet era submarine. This boat is a piece of junk. The Soviet engineering is really poor, but it was very interesting to see the conditions that Soviet sailors would have lived in. Of course, you don't have to stay where I stayed, so I will navigate to Kiel from the central train station in Hamburg, and I'll show you how I did that. For ease of use, on Google here you can see that Kiel is roughly 95 kilometers from Hamburg, and there's a lot of different ways that you can get to Kiel from Hamburg. I decided to stick with trains. There are two main types. You have ICE trains, which are Intercity Express, and then we have RE trains, which are Regional Express. You can buy your tickets at the train station, or you can use the Deutsche Bahn website, as I have done here, in order to plan your journey ahead of time. This is a great option for ensuring that you get a ticket, and it'll also allow you to book a seat if you want to. You can then just select the train that you want to take for your journey from the options below. As you might imagine, Germans are very, very strict when it comes to trains. A conductor will definitely check your ticket, and you may be fined or have to buy another ticket if you're on the wrong train at the wrong time. So make sure that you plan your journey in advance or buy an open-ended ticket. Really impressed with this train. The toilets were very clean, and because I suppose the train travelling from Hamburg to Kiel wouldn't carry so many passengers, I had an entire carriage to myself. So I had a very peaceful and very relaxing journey to Kiel. So when I looked online, once you get to Kiel, you've a few different options for getting to Laboe from there. You can get a bus, you could rent a car, and I'm sure there's probably other ways of getting to Laboe, but I decided that I would use a local ferry service that operates from a ferry terminal just opposite the train station. This is a busy and built up area. There's a shopping centre nearby, and just opposite the train station across the road where the crossing is in the video, you can see the ferry terminal. There was a small cafe here and also a few restaurants and bars. If you wanted to get something to eat, you could. The ticket office is just here in the centre of the screen, and that's where I bought my ticket for the ferry service to Laboe. The ferry sailings, the sailing times are up on this board, and I'll take you now to the website for the F1 ferry. I'm just showing you the website so you can see the route map around Kiel Harbour. I bought my ticket on the day at the ticket office. It's entirely up to you which way you do it. As you can see, the ferry starts off at Kiel and makes its way around the harbour and stops at a couple of different small villages and towns, some of which have beaches where people go in the summertime to sunbathe. And the yellow route here at the top of the map, just beside Laboe, that's a seasonal route for summer only. The timetable itself is very easy to navigate. Just make sure that you leave yourself enough time to see everything you want to see in Laboe, and enough time to get back if you have a connecting train leaving Kiel and returning to Hamburg, as I did. The ferry is a lot more relaxed than the train, so you can get any service you want as long as you've bought a ticket. There's older and newer type ferries, like you can see in the image here. All the ferries have indoor and outdoor areas, and also small snack bars where you can buy beer and sandwiches. It does get busy in the summer, so make sure you leave plenty of time. I really enjoyed the ferry journey up to Laboe, and once you get off in Laboe, it's about a 15-minute walk up the Strand to U995. The boat itself, as you can see, is just sitting on the beach, and it's very, very impressive as you walk up to it. Laboe is a quiet little village. There's not a lot to do here apart from the submarine and the memorial. You can buy a single ticket for the boat, or you can buy a ticket for the boat and the memorial. Originally I was only going to the boat, but I'm very, very glad that I went to the memorial also. It's definitely worth a visit, and I'll show you that in a few moments. The Type 7C is a design classic. It's what you think about when you hear the word U-boat. What I loved most was getting up close, touching the boat, and getting a sense of the scale when it was out of the water. It almost looks like a shark in some ways, and I'm sure that the boat terrified sailors when they saw it on patrol in the Second World War. The insides are in very, very good condition. Lots of the controls are still as they were whenever the boat first sailed during the Second World War. You can climb around in the boat for as long as you want, and most of the time that I was in the boat I had it to myself, which was fantastic. It's really a testament to German marine engineering how compact and well laid out this boat is. Despite many of the controls being mechanical, they're all centrally located for ease of use. It's a very, very impressive machine. At the Naval Memorial there's a scale model of a German warship. This warship was actually destroyed in a US nuclear test, and one of the propellers from that boat is on display. The history of the memorial is really interesting. It was originally built for sailors who had died in the German Navy in the First World War. It was then added to after the Second World War, and then after the defeat of Germany in around 1954, it was rededicated as an international memorial to all sailors lost at sea. There's various different rooms with different memorials, flags and artifacts. In this room on the walls, what look like slate, when you get closer you can actually see are silhouettes of every single German ship lost in both wars. It wasn't until I got closer that I realised what I was looking at, and this was very, very sobering. The scale of the loss was absolutely colossal, and when it's laid out like this in one room, it's very, very powerful. I decided to take the stairs to the viewing platform at the top of the memorial, and just be warned, there are a lot of stairs. It's a long, long walk. If you think the stairs might be too much for you, there's an elevator that you can get up to the top if you want. Again, you can spend as much time as you want here. I had the platform to myself for quite some time before anyone else came up to join me. You can see for miles in every direction, and look through the telescopes here if you want. You can see all the way down the harbour to Kiel, and you can also see the boat on the beach just below the memorial. So after a day spent in Laboe, I headed back to Kiel Hauptbahnhof, and I got one of the ice trains back to Hamburg. So after a second night in Hamburg, it was time to pack up my bag and go back to the train station to get the S-Bahn back to the airport. So that almost wraps up my trip. I want to thank you for clicking on my video, and if you could leave me a like, that would be brilliant. I made the video because I wanted to share my experience and show how enjoyable and easy it was to get from Hamburg to U995. If you want to ask me a question or leave any comments, please do so below, and thanks again for watching my video. I hope you enjoyed it.